Welcome back, Star Wars fans, to the Hyperspace Database. I'm Jonesy the Mandalorian, your host here with today's topic, the Supremacy Star Destroyer. The Supremacy was a mega-class star dreadnought that was the flagship of Supreme Leader Snoke of the First Order, and was used to fight against the Resistance around 30 years after the Battle of Yavin. The Supremacy was an incredibly massive starship developed by Kuat and Tralla Engineering, being one of the largest capital ships ever created. It was over 3 times the length of the Executor-class Superstar Destroyer, and was over 1/3 of the width of the first Death Star. The ship possessed 32 engine units which helped propel the massive vessel through space, and it possessed a hyperdrive to allow it to travel through the cosmos, making it an incredible mobile base of operations, quite like the Death Stars, though on a smaller scale. The ship was armed with thousands of turbo-laser batteries, ion cannons, as well as anti-ship missile batteries and tractor beam projectors. It was only outgunned by the Death Stars and other superweapons. The Supremacy had an incredibly large complement of ships housed within its quadranium hull, holding numerous First Order dropships and shuttles, thousands of TIE First Order fighters and TIE Special Forces fighters, and large numbers of all-terrain walkers, such as the AT-M6, FO ATSTs, and AT-ATs. The Dreadnought was capable of housing 2 of the First Order Resurgent-class Star Destroyers inside of its maintenance bays, and there were 6 external docking ports that allowed more of these Resurgent Star Destroyers to dock for repairs and maintenance. Since the ship was so massive, it required over 2 million crew members, and was basically a city ship, with a complex tram system that allowed for quick travel from one end to the other. The Supremacy was capable of producing its own goods and services for the First Order, and these production centers were also accompanied by many research and development bays, as well as shipyards and training facilities for ground troops. It was not uncommon for the Supremacy to harvest minerals directly from asteroids, and then turn those materials into weapons or new starfighters right in its several factories. The Supremacy also had at least 10 different military staging areas on board, which could hold more than 36,000 stormtroopers for rapid planetary invasions and strike missions. The ship featured many advanced systems not found on other vessels, such as its active hyperspace tracking system, which allowed the ship to track targets through hyperspace using a combination of projected hyperspace routes and serious data crunching, which predicted a ship's flight path out of thousands of possibilities. The ship was the capital of the First Order, and served as its main base of operations prior to and throughout the Cold War against the Resistance. The Supremacy was designed and produced in the unknown regions of space to avoid public scrutiny and the prying eyes of the New Republic, which was the main directive of Supreme Leader Snoke, who wanted to keep the base mobile until they could establish control over the galaxy, as he wanted to expand the reach of the First Order to beyond the reaches that the Empire accomplished. The Resistance was aware of the growing First Order forces and decided to act on their own before waiting for official permission that might never come from the New Republic. They nicknamed the rumors of the ship mockingly Snoke's Boudoir, which literally translates to sulking room, because they thought that the First Order was too afraid to show itself. However, after the New Republic was decimated with the destruction of Hosnian Prime in The Force Awakens, the Supremacy was free to fly with its banner held high and proud, and traveled throughout the galaxy fighting against the Resistance in open space. The Supremacy makes its appearance in The Last Jedi, as it hunts down the Resistance fleet that is fleeing from a relentless attack from the First Order. Under the command of General Hux, the Supremacy fought a war of attrition with the fleeing Resistance ships, allowing them to use up their fuel running away before the Supremacy would follow through hyperspace and attack them again and again. Despite a heroic attempt to disable the hyperspace tracking system by Rose, Finn, and BB-8, the First Order was able to scan the fleeing Resistance transports who were cloaked, and began to fire on them as they fled to the mineral world of Crate. Admiral Holdo, who had remained on the cruiser Radis to keep up the pretense of retreat, then put a desperate plan into action. She made it appear as though she was fleeing to hyperspace, but then at the last moment turned to the cruiser to point directly at the Supremacy, and jumped. The Supremacy's right wing was completely severed, and over 20 Resurgent-class Star Destroyers were annihilated by the debris flying at light speed. While this took the Supremacy out of the fight on the whole, the massive ship still had half of its complement of troops and weapons to bear that were completely undamaged, and sent them to attack the Resistance in a land battle on the salt flats of Crate. While the damage to the Supremacy was significant on one half of the ship, the other half still functioned normally. However, the First Order deemed the damage too extensive to fully repair, and it was concluded that the Supremacy was a lost cause, and the ship was evacuated and scuttled, moving the leadership of the First Order troops to Kylo Ren's resurgent Star Destroyer Steadfast, which is seen in The Rise of Skywalker. The Supremacy was unlike any other ship seen in the galaxy before or after the Cold War, and was a marvel of engineering and advanced technology. It served the First Order well as a mobile base and capital to their power, and instilled fear into their opponents with its overwhelming size and firepower, much like the Death Stars and superweapons of the Empire that they so sought to emulate. Want to know more about great Star Wars topics like this one? Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and you can check out my other videos for great Star Wars content. Be sure to hit me up in the comments too, because I really like talking to you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.